Hello, this is Mark Leslie from Spirits Untapped, and I am here trying out the Whitney's Vintage Reserve, which is in the Freestyle series from Collingwood Brewing in Collingwood, Ontario. It was recently shipped in the Canada Craft Club selection, and I thought it would be more fun to try it out live. Now, this is basically, I'm just going to read a little bit from the card that came from with the craft club, and it's always great to be able to read a little bit about the brews that you're about to enjoy. It's a simple and powerful brewing tradition, lives along the shores of the Nottawasaga Bay on Lake Huron. Collingwood Brewery shares a lineage reaching back to the mid-19th century when famed brewer Richard Whitney took simple ingredients and fresh water from the Georgian Bay to create his first ales. Head brewer Chris Freeman crafts the same ale from the same clear waters. Using only Canadian ingredients, Freeman produced the wet-hopped, unfiltered Whitney's Vintage Ale. You will be hard-pressed to find this brew outside of the local Collingwood area. And I'm a huge fan of wet hops, actually. Before I even got into really, really hoppy beers, I found that wet hops were my preference in the early days of enjoying beers. So I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. Let me just find the old trusty opener. We'll give that an open. And as always, I love using my Winking Judge glass, the beer glass with a judge on it. Got a nice pour to it. I have to be patient, very, very patient as I pour this. Okay, so let's give this a little look. I'll hold that up so you can have a bit of a look at how badly I poured that too much head. So we'll just let that settle down a little bit. And I'm going to be trying to do more videos of some of the samples of beers that I like to try, and I thought it would be even more interesting to taste it live and give my reaction to it as I'm enjoying the beer, rather than stopping and thinking a little bit about it before I post it on Untapped or whatever. So let's move this into the shot so you can actually still see the logo, because product placement is always important. Let's give this a taste now. I'm picking up a woodsy sort of scent to it. And I don't think there's any of those ingredients in there, but I'm just getting that, which is kind of nice. And okay, it's got a bit of malt in it, which is kind of nice. The hops are just so mild. So if you're not a fan of really heavy-hitting hop beers, you may want to go with a wet hop. They are harder to get, and the reason they call it a wet hop is because normally the hops dry, particularly because they're traveling. They are moved from one location to another, and the hops are usually dry. And with a wet hop, and I'm not a brewer, but as I understand from some of the tours that I've been on, you have to actually use the hop in your brew relatively early in the process. It's usually within the first week of it being picked, so that it's actually still wet and it's not a dry hop. And so the dry or the wet hop beers will give you a much lighter hop taste that may be more palatable for those of you who aren't as excited by the bitters. So if you're not enjoying hoppy beers, you may want to look for a wet hop when it's on the menu. That could be a good gateway drug for you into the hoppier brews. Yeah, this has a little bit of sweetness. It's very, very smooth, and it is a beer I'm certainly going to enjoy consuming while I do a little bit of work this evening on some other writing projects, most likely related to writing something up for the Spirits Untapped blog. But that is the freestyle series, the Whitney's Vintage Reserve from Collingwood Brewing in Collingwood, Ontario. Liz and I have been there. It's actually quite a fun brewery to get to. But of course, we hadn't tried this one, so it was very awesome to get this. And we can pick up many of the Collingwood brews at the LCBO, at the Ontario Liquor Control Board stores. And this is always fun. It's always fun to enjoy a beer. So if you're privy to it, in the comments, leave a comment about one of the recent beers that you have enjoyed discovering. Again, this is Mark Leslie from Spirits Untapped. Cheers to you, and cheers to good beers.